Welcome to Color 101. I am so happy to have all of you in my studio today. This is going to be a very, very easy class. First of all, I want to introduce to you the three students that I have in class today. We have Elizabeth with us today, and we have Brittany, and we have Vicki. And I have to give you a hand for being so brave. Now you have your boards, your drawing boards. They're called canvas boards in front of you that you're going to work on. And then you've got your water buckets, you've got brushes, and we'll go through everything as we go through the class. And you've also got a piece of vine charcoal. And this is a medium width vine charcoal. So reach down and pick up your little charcoal sticks. And then we're going to start doing shapes. Also, every show is going to have a color quote by an artist. And today our color quote is, because I want to make sure I get it right, it is, "Color is my day-long obsession, joy, and torment." And so the whole deal is you have to guess what artist said that. And so the first person to email me, the correct artist who made this quote, will get a t-shirt, a Painting with Raney t-shirt, which we don't happen to have right now, but believe me, it's going to be beautiful. All you have to do is email that to me. On the next show, we will reveal the name of the artist. And I'm going to give you little tips about who it is. And the first tip is, he's French. And I just gave you two. It's a he and he's French. Okay. Isn't this exciting? Riveting for those of you at home too. Everybody get a charcoal board, a piece of paper, and your charcoal, vine charcoal. And it breaks very easily, so don't worry about it if it breaks. But what we're going to do is basic shapes today. Because I think drawing is a prerequisite to painting always. And if you can't draw, then how are you going to learn to paint the shapes that you need to do? So we're going to learn the 5 basic shapes. 5 basic shapes, and we're all going to draw them together, okay? It's going to be real easy. And then we're going to make those shapes two-dimensional, and then we're going to add color. It's called grisaille is the method, the black and white. And then we're going to add color, and then you're going to have these three-dimensional objects that you made, and you thought you could only do stick figures. Okay, are we ready? Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay, I just want to make sure you haven't fallen asleep quite yet, because it's really not time for that. The nap time is after the art. All right, so the first shape, the first basic shape we're going to do is a circle. When you do a circle, when you draw it all, use your whole arm. Don't do any of this. Don't do any of this. No, that's not good, because you won't get a whole circle. You'll get a squiggly circle. Use your whole arm. It's a direct connection from the head all the way down to the fingers. And put your circle where I put it, just basically because it kind of makes it a nice little composition at the end. So let's do a circle. Let's kind of go with the lower part of our canvas. Use your whole arm. Mine's not perfect, but we're going to work with it. And you see how the charcoal is going to be, you can just kind of feel how it's very granular underneath the pressure that you put on. Okay, now let's do a square. Now I'm going to overlap one of the corners of this square, just a little bit right here. That's a nice big wide line. There will be a critique at the end of the class. You at home, you don't have to worry about that. But we will get to see what they do, and that's the most exciting part of the class. Okay, we got our square. Isn't this exciting? All right, now let's go for a triangle. Let's pull it right on up here. I'm going to slightly overlap every shape, just a little bit, to give it interest. The triangle actually is kind of coming up in sort of the middle of our piece.
Oops.
Okay.
Oops
is good, because you have an eraser. You all have a little white eraser, which of course we don't tell about that for the first thing, because we just assume that you're not going to make an oops, but if you do, you have the eraser. And just erase. Let's go over here and let's take a look. How's that erasing? Oh, that's doing very well. Okay. And just don't worry about it, because charcoal is very forgiving. You can actually take your finger and you can blend it all out. Okay? So now the other shape is an oval. So come about midway and do an oval. We're actually not even going to do the other side of the oval, but we're going to assume everybody will know it's the same as on the left. These are all the shapes that anything you paint is going to derive from. Everything you do is going to have some semblance of these shapes. So you've got to be able to know how to draw them. Okay, let's move it on up here to a rectangle. Okay. We're going to start right behind the oval. Let's see, I'm going to bring it down to about right here. I know what's coming next, so I'm just going to put that line there. We can go ahead and do that. My rectangle's a little crookedy, but that's all right. I bet there's some other crookedy rectangles out there too, and since I'm the teacher, then you should feel good about it because it just happens. So, oh, well, that's lovely. Look at these nice big shapes. See how simple this is? Anybody can draw. All right, now we're ready to kind of flesh them out a little bit. All right, this suddenly becomes a sphere. We haven't put the gradation in it yet, but we will. Let's make this square into a box. All our lines we want them all to be equidistant, parallel, about the same length. Did I mess up? Did you mess up? Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, we'll come over here to the triangle. And when we make a triangle into a cone shape, what we're going to do is there's a very hard corner here. The corners and the ridges and the edges are what separate the professionals from the ones that are just kind of playing around, from the hobbyists. We want to go right at this corner, and we want to very gently swoop it down a little bit.
Raney, my box doesn't look like a box.
Your box doesn't look like
my box looks nothing like yours.
So just erase your lines.
What did I do wrong?
So really, well, you can kind of lay this line down just a little bit. Kind of put it up here a little bit, and then move that one on down. I love it, Eureka. All right. Those are the sounds we want to hear. Okay, now as I work my way on up here, I'm going to erase these lines that are extraneous, that really aren't going to, I really don't want to see those in the final piece. So look how suddenly the triangle begins to take on a three-dimensional shape. Isn't that magic? How you doing on that box?
It's coming.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to have total faith that you're going to finish the box. And I'm going to go up here to what is now going to be a hemisphere, where our oval is. We're going to make it into a bowl. Already, all of these little shapes are starting to just flesh out like they're just going to jump off the page. Now, let's go up here to the rectangle. If you're having trouble, just let me know. Let me know. If you're having trouble at home, just let me know. Give me a call, and I'll see what I can do to get back to you. And you can hold on to the drawing until I do get back to you. And so, all right, so the bottom of the rectangle, we're going to do the same thing we did over here for the cone. We're just going to kind of dip it down a little bit, right at that corner. So it's not really going to be a harsh corner like it was before. See, we just kind of smoothed it out a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put another oval on the top of this. You don't have to do it in one fell swoop. Look, I didn't. I've just got a dark mess there now. But we've got a way to take care of that too. All right. So now we have a cylinder. We have a bowl. We've got a cone. We have a box. And we've got a sphere. So how are we doing now? Do we have an essence of three-dimensional objects coming forth? How's the box doing? The box is okay.
The box is good.
This is really good. Were you the one with the stick figure, or was that another one? Okay. Okay, here is my suggestion, which really helps a whole lot, is if you take this line here and you make it parallel to this line, so it really just kind of wants to go like that. And then look, see, it's that O again. Oh. Ah. All right. We might have to leave Vicki behind a little bit, but I'll go and make sure she gets caught up. So we're going to come back down here to the circle. You keep getting that box in place, and then we'll be working on this when you get to it. Okay, how's everybody at home coming along? Have you seen now that your two-dimensional flat objects are now starting to have some shape, and they're starting to get rounded out? And you up there in the box seats, the nosebleed seats. Okay, so let's go down here to the sphere, and we're going to start shading it, because that's what's going to give it form. This is the part of the grisaille method that I was telling you about. And this is what the old masters do. They use black and white in gray tones, and then they add color over that. So this way we don't have to worry about color so much, because that's coming in at the end. Okay, so the sphere, our light, you always have to know where your light source is. So our light source is going to come in from right here. And I'm just going to put a little check there so I'll know. So if you want to do that, that's fine, because you want to remember where your light source is coming. Because our light source is coming here, then we know that this area here is going to be in shadow. So just go ahead and rub your charcoal real softly in this area. And then this is the good part, because you really get to get your fingers into it and start moving around. Then you just want to smooth it out. Leave the light area light and start smoothing out where the dark is. Now you want your shadows going to follow the form of the object that you're drawing. So it's going to be kind of rounded, just like what I'm doing here. Okay, now I'm going to smooth that out again. And it makes it look even more round. And also, as you start to wipe things off, or as you start to use your eraser, you can see how easy charcoal is to work with. It's very forgiving, but it's a wonderful way to get your darks and to learn about modeling. Okay, now for those of you who are professional artists, or you just feel like, oh, this is too simple, I really don't need to do this. Well, a very, very famous artist that I studied under once told us, our class of 250 so-called master students, that even if you are a professional, it's always good to reacquaint yourself with how light hits a form. Because how the light hits it is going to change the form, the shape of whatever it is you're doing. And so if you get a white, if you get all of these shapes in white and move around your light source and constantly go back to that, it's a wonderful exercise for learning how to do your darks. Okay, so you've got your shadow there. Now you're going to have a part right in the middle of this that's going to, see, I broke my charcoal. Oh my God, it's all right. It's going to emulate the shape that you just made with your shadow. And you make the shape within the shadow. That's where the sphere turns away from the light. That's your darkest area. Then there's a slightly lighter area here in between that dark crescent that we just put in, that's kind of like a reflected shadow. So there's a little bit of light coming back in there, but it's a lighter part of the shadow. Okay? You can blow on your canvas and blow away some of the extra dust. Now how we doing? Everybody okay?
Doing good.
All right. Miss Elizabeth's not saying much today. That's okay. That's probably a good thing for now. You just feel free to speak up though. Okay, let's move on to the box. Now the darkest area in the box, the darkest side, is going to be this big shape here that is turned away from the light. This is actually going to be as dark as that crescent shape, really dark crescent shape that we put inside the sphere. Now, I'm going to blow some of my charcoal away, and I am down to a teeny tiny little nubbin of it. Now this side here of the box is not going to be quite so dark. It's going to be a little lighter. It's still in shadow, but it's not in a real dark shadow. It's not where the shadow accents would take place. So you just want to make sure that you have an indication that this side of the box is not as dark as the back side of the box. And I'm getting my trusty paper towels out around again. I don't know how people do art without paper towels. It's probably not the most PC thing to say, but it is true. Okay. You'll see you can just get into this, and the next thing you know, you're still working on the box. Are our fingers good and messy now? Because if they are, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. So, if anybody needs me, just holler. You're holding yours like this. Okay, that's good. All right, now let's go to the cone, and let's put some shadow in the cone. Now, our shadow is going to follow the shape of the cone. So that means that the shadow is going to be very, very pointy and narrow up here at the top. And as we go down the cone, it's going to get wider and wider. And you can just soften that up if you want to. Just take your finger and run it all around. Charcoal is a really wonderful drawing medium because you can just get really messy and you can get your fingers involved in it. And it's just a direct connection with the art that you're doing. So, and then you have this wonderful corner right here that sticks out. So it's very obvious that the cube is in front of your cone. How are we doing on those cones?
Just getting started.
We ought to be very quiet. Please do speak up because the people at home, some of the students at home might be going a little slower. I can get it this far and then I'll go back around and double check on you because also for the cone, for the dark accent part of the cone, we're going to do just like we did with the sphere. We're going to kind of come up right in the middle of that shadow area and we're going to do a dark accent that's going to be wider at the bottom than it is at the top because it's going to follow the shape of the cone. Okay, now let me go around and take a look and see how we're doing. Oh, that's lovely. That's very good. Keep going. I would never say stop. That would just be too much. I'm not even going to go there. You're doing wonderfully. Keep going. Now you do probably want to kind of soften that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit so we don't have that almost it looks like it's three-dimensional, but it's got a very serious crease in the middle. Brittany, lovely. That's wonderful. Very soft. Very good, Elizabeth. Very good. Okay. Oh, we've still got that. We can take that out too. Here, let me just come on and take a paper towel to them. You're doing good. I'm so pleased. Okay, soften that. Look! Isn't that amazing? Now, and then just come in and get your accent, your shadow accent, and do it right in the middle of that. And then you can go in there and restate this too. We'll both of us see because that box is in front. All these corners, it's stuff like this that separates the professionals from the amateurs. Get your corners right. Get your ellipses right. You're doing wonderful. Keep going. Okay, so let me come up here to the hemisphere, or half of a sphere is what that's called. Okay, once again, the shadow side is going to be just like it was on the sphere, but it's half a sphere. So I'm going to soften that up. Then I'm going to come to the inside of the hemisphere, and I'm going to put another shadow there because we also have the inside of the half a sphere to deal with. I'm going to restate the edges here. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add that shadow accent just like we did with the cone and just like we did with the sphere. It's going to be wider at the top and then more narrow as we come down to the bottom of the sphere, and also on that inside part of the sphere. We're going to darken that too. And then just smooth out the edges. And I'm going to restate that that edge there again. Matter of fact, I'm going to go in here with my paper towel. Kind of perfect it just a little bit more. I don't even need to go into, well, what could these shapes be, do I? Because that's the whole basis for this exercise, is to teach you the basic shapes, and then whatever you look at is going to have the elements of one of these shapes. And that's what you need to acknowledge. See, look very closely at everything it is that you're drawing. An artist has to see. Another hint, this artist likes to garden. So, okay, isn't that exciting? All right, no blurting out the name now. That would just kill everything if you think you know who it is. Okay, I know you're just so riveted and holding it back. Okay, now we're up to the cylinder. Now the top of the cylinder should be a little lighter than what I have here, so I'm going to go up in here and I'm just going to lift out a little bit more of that color. With my paper towel, I could probably, oh, this is a great eraser. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, now cylinder, same thing as we did with the cone and the sphere, only, you guessed it, the shadow area is going to be more even. And just bring it on down. And then you can smooth it out. Get your fingers in there. Make your hands part of the art experience. That's that direct connection between what comes in through the crown all the way through the arm, and it gives you that big movement that you want to make in order to really feel what the shapes are you're putting in. So for the cylinder, I'm going to come back in right in the middle of that shadow area, and I'm going to put my shadow accent all the way down. Smooth out the edges. And then I'm going to blow real hard on my canvas because the charcoal is just really collecting. Okay. Now, I've got my shapes done. Does anyone need my help, or do you need my just incredible intelligence to come through? And oh my gosh, oh, that's lovely. You're doing very well. Just a little bit. Just smooth it out. Smooth out your edges. And actually, your ellipse is really large, but that's okay. We can just see farther in. What we could do is just kind of refine your shape a little bit. That looks better. You're so welcome. Here you go. Oh, you're very, very welcome. I'm so glad to help. Elizabeth, do you have any questions about anything? You seem to be doing very, very well. You are very, very concentrated and focused, and you're proficient with your colors. And I mean, your shading. This is grisaille. We would be painting. A true grisaille would be using paint to do this, but charcoal is one of the first elements of drawing for any painting that you do. So this is a really great way to get started. We won't do this again in any of the shows, but I want you to remember. And these shows will be a progression of how to paint and what you're painting. Grisaille means grayscale. So you're using colors from black to white and all the grays in between, which is what you're doing. The more you use your fingers to shade, then the more of the grayscale tones that you're creating. Wow, that almost looks cubist. Very good. I like that very much. And probably that cubism thing is from this. We'll just smooth this out just a little bit more. But you've got the right idea for that. And then and nice. Yeah, I think we could use a blow dryer or whatever. It's a
paper towel.
Yes, a paper towel. Oh yes, good. Paper towel's good too. Oh, that's just to clean it all up. But which is what we're going to do. Clean up as much as you can of the dust from your piece, and then we're going to spray it with a fixative. And when we spray it with a fixative, then that's going to keep everything right where we want it to be. And then we're going to put a color glaze on it. And then you will have painted just like the old masters. Will you feel like an old master? Will you feel like an old person after you have done that? You won't look it. That's the beauty of this whole thing. Okay. Very good. Remember on your shapes, on your cylinder and your hemisphere, get that black accent, your shadow accent in there too, because that's what turns, that's the part of the shape that turns away from the light. All right. So I'll just be up here cleaning mine up. Those of you at home, just grab your paper towel or your eraser. And these are really great. Rubber kneaded erasers or just rubber erasers in general. Just the single rubber erasers are really good for getting rid of the charcoal. Then what we're going to do is spray the whole piece with our fixative. Probably not the best thing to do in an enclosed space, but might make this class a little more fun. We'll see. Let me spray this out. Now this will hold everything in place when we start to add our color. And when you're done, I'm going to pass the fixative can to you and spray as lightly as you possibly can, or we will all feel like that we are just waltzing right out of here. Okay, so I'm going to pass the spray around very lightly, just as you would use hairspray, 10 or 12 inches from the piece. Spray, and then everything will just set right there. If you don't have fixative, you can use hairspray. Hairspray makes a wonderful ingredient to just keep things exactly where they are so they don't come off when you're putting your overpainting. I am going to put some colors on my palette while we're waiting, and I'm using warms and cools of every hue. Of course, your hue is the color, and the shadow or the shade is your color with a little black added to it, and a tint is a color with white added to it. And if you mix together a warm and a cool of the same hue or the same color, then it makes a very, very bright and exciting, more exciting version of the color just on its own. All right, so before we get started on the color, I would love for each of you to turn your canvas boards around so that I can see what it is you've done and see what it is you need to do. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, that looks great. I'm so pleased. See, if you can do that, then there's nothing that you can't paint. So I just don't want to hear any more excuses from anybody. And I love your little cone. There's one side of your cone looks like those orange cones out on the highway. A car hits your cone. That's okay. It has personality. It's just going to stand up there. Okay, we got them sprayed. I believe our spray has dried. So let's get ready to add color. Sunset River Marketplace in coastal Calabash invites you to feed your eclectic soul in a warm, friendly environment where you'll find something for everyone. Art glass, painting, pottery, classes, home decor, demonstrations. It's a sensory experience.